In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. God chosen one, pause. What you're doing this moment is sacred. You didn't find this message, it found you. Heaven has aligned timelines, disrupted distractions, and overridden algorithms to bring this word directly into your spirit. Right now, you are standing in the middle of a divine interruption. And what you do between now and the 29th of June will not just shape your season, it will define your scroll. This is not another motivation. This is not a feel-good word. This is a warning wrapped in mercy, sent not to shame you, but to summon you. The atmosphere around you has changed. The spiritual climate is heavier. You felt it, the tension, the pressure, the urgency. Something in you knows the time is short. The inner stirring that's been keeping you up at night, the sense that something is shifting. That's not anxiety. That's prophecy, whispering. That's heaven pressing in. You've been set apart since birth. People have misunderstood you, labeled you, isolated you. But that was by design. You were never meant to blend in. You carry too much light. You were crafted for divine disruption. You walk into rooms and shift atmospheres. Darkness recognizes you before people do. You are marked. But even the mark must respond. God has been speaking, maybe not loudly, maybe not even in words, but you know deep down, you know what He told you. Whether it was something to lay down or someone to walk away from, or a bold step to finally take, He already made it clear. This message isn't a revelation, it's a reminder. And now you've reached the crossroads of destiny. Between now and the 29th of June, heaven is watching, not with arms crossed in judgment, but with eyes full of expectation. You have entered into what the Spirit calls a measuring moment. Your steps are being weighed, your responses being recorded. The question is not, will you be blessed? The question is, will you obey? Chosen one. Understand the weight of what is unfolding. There are certain windows that don't reopen, certain gates that close if not crossed. In time, what's happening now is not just about opportunity. It's about alignment. Heaven moves in patterns, not pity. It honors response, not routine, as it was declared in Luke 10 verse 19. I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you but authority. Unused is authority forfeited. You don't need another confirmation. You don't need another voice. What you need now is movement. Your next step will activate what has been held up. Prophecies have not died. They've been waiting. Angels have not left. They've been paused. Obedience is the key that unfreezes the heavens. The fire you've walked through wasn't meant to consume you. It was meant to crown you. The betrayal didn't break you, it built the altar. You now stand upon every sleepless night, every battle you fought in silence, every tear you wiped without applause. There was preparation. God trusted you with pain so He could trust you with power, but power without obedience is dangerous. You are on heaven's radar, not because you're loud, not because you're perfect, but because your spirit is awake, because your name has been mentioned in divine counsel, because your story has been marked with oil. This moment is not for everyone. Others may ignore it, others may scroll past it, but not you. You are the one God whispers to at midnight, the one whose prayers shake rooms, the one whose obedience will ripple through generations. You've been asking God for more, but heaven is waiting for you to move. He will not beg, the Spirit will not force, angels will not drag. This is your invitation, and it will not be repeated. God says, I have given you the word. Now give me your yes. Do not delay. Delay now is disobedience in disguise. Your next act is not small, it's a seed. And what you do before the 29th of June determines what will bloom in the next season. There is a specific instruction and you know exactly what it is. Don't rationalize it, don't water it down. Obey fully, move boldly. Chosen one, this is a general calling, this is a prophetic deadline. God is not looking for the popular, He is looking for the obedient, for the yielded, for the remnant. And that is you. Heaven has seen the warfare. Heaven has seen the tears. But now heaven must see your movement. Do not make the mistake of assuming there will be more time. Many miss divine doors, not because of rebellion, but because of hesitation. Do not hesitate. Move, speak. So forgive the shift, release, whatever He told you to do it now. This message is a line in the sand. And your response will define which side of it you're standing on. When the 29th of June arrives, comment 777 in our social platforms as a prophetic act that you have heard and that you will obey. You've heard the whisper, felt the stirring, but still part of you wonders, why now? Because this moment is unlike any other. What you're sensing in your spirit is not a passing emotion. It is the vibration of heaven brushing up against earth. It is God's breath bending time to speak to the ones who can still feel Him. And you, chosen one, are one of the few who can still discern the divine in the midst of the noise. There's a reason this message found you, not just because you're special, but because you are accountable. God doesn't send warning to those He's written off. He doesn't whisper to those He's already judged. No, He warns those He loves. He corrects those He is still willing to elevate. And He's calling you before the deadline passes. You may not see it with your eyes, but a holy shaking has already begun in the unseen realm. Decisions are being made. Paths are being cut. Scrolls are being unrolled. The angels are moving not with chaos, but with precision. And they are watching. This is a part few will understand. God is not loud. When He's most serious, when His Spirit comes to inspect, He does not roar. He watches, He weighs, He searches for response, not reaction. And many will miss it, not because they were unworthy, but because they were distracted. He's been whispering to you through patterns that repeated thought, the dream you couldn't shake, the scripture that kept appearing when you weren't looking for it, the friend who said something in passing that hit your spirit like thunder. That wasn't coincidence. That was the mercy of a God still trying to reach you. The truth is, heaven never shouts when it's time to obey. Heaven watches. There are decisions you've put off for months, maybe years, but time has expired on some of them. What used to be a window of grace is becoming a closed door. Not because God is angry, but because the weight of destiny demands momentum. What was once optional is now essential. What was once gentle suggestion has become divine command. You are not being asked to act for His sake, but for yours. Because what waits on the other side of obedience isn't just favor, it's clarity. You've been asking for answers, but God doesn't answer questions that require faith. He waits to see your faith in action. You'll understand what you need to understand once you move. You are not behind, you are right on time if you move now. Think back. The restlessness you felt lately, the unease that wasn't fear, that was your spirit discerning the gap between where you are and where you're meant to be. It's the distance between your current place and your appointed one. And the clock is closing that gap fast. No more delays, no more detours. The weight is only getting heavier. because your destiny is getting closer. God doesn't build slowly in seasons of acceleration. He demands swift obedience. Yes, and that's where you are, the crossroads between comfort and falling. There is one thing, one act that has been hovering in your heart. You've avoided it. Maybe it's forgiving someone. Maybe it's finally ending a relationship. Maybe it's sowing a seed that feels impossible. Maybe it's writing what he told you to write, starting what he's been nudging you to start, or leaving. What he already said is no longer yours. Whatever it is, you already know it. You've just been delaying it, but the delay has now turned into danger, not because God is mad, but because the window is shifting and you don't want to be found on the wrong side of a closing gate. God is watching not to catch you failing, but to confirm your faith. He trusts you enough to test you. He loves you enough to let silence surround you because he knows something you may not yet see. What you do now determines what you carry next. And the next is heavy, glorious, unshakable, but it requires weight-bearing obedience. Now, so breathe deep, chosen one. There is still time, not much, but enough. Mercy is still leaning forward. Heaven is still watching with anticipation, not wrath. You haven't missed it, not yet. But what you do next will decide whether this moment becomes a memory or a movement. Chosen one, you can feel it, can't you? The silence around you isn't empty, it's sacred. It's heaven waiting. This is the pause before the shift, the stillness before the thunder. What you're standing in is not a void, it's a test, a divine observation room. And you are the one being watched, not watched in judgment, not watched in suspicion, watched with purpose. Every thought you've wrestled with in secret, every hesitation that's pulled at your feet, every tear you've swallowed alone, heaven saw it. And heaven waits to see if you trust enough to move. You're not here because you failed. You're here because God believes you're ready. But that belief must be confirmed in action. This moment is not about emotional hype. It's about eternal consequence. You don't need to feel it to follow through. You just need to trust the voice of the one who's never lied to you, because what you don't see, but what God sees, is that your obedience in this hour will unlock a gate no man can shut, a gate guarded by angels, a gate tied to timing, a gate that swings not with force but with faith. Don't miss this. The enemy has increased the pressure because he sees the oil being poured. The warfare is confirmation, not contradiction. Your mind has been under siege. The voices have gotten louder. Confusion has whispered louder than truth. But that's because your breakthrough is closer than it has ever been. The enemy doesn't fight what's not rising. But this moment is about your yes, your quiet yes, your trembling yes, you're scared but surrendered yes. You don't need to announce it to the world. God isn't looking for noise, he's looking for obedience. In the secret place, because what's done in secret always manifests in glory. Let the Spirit speak. This deeply, you're not stuck. You're stationed. This place of waiting isn't punishment, it's positioning. But that positioning is only useful if you realize what's really happening. You are being observed. Angels are watching. Not just what you say, but what you do. Your spirit has been marked. Your name is known in realms you cannot see. And right now, the eyes of heaven are on you, not for shame, but for report. What you choose next becomes the evidence of your alignment. You've asked God to move, but now God is asking you to move first. That's the pattern of faith. Obedience doesn't wait for the door to open. Obedience walks toward it, expecting it to swing. This is the test. Few recognize how you respond in silence proves who you are in the Spirit. Because if you only obey when the skies are loud, You've not learned the rhythm of the remnant. And you chosen one are a remnant. You've been through too much to turn back. You've cried too many hidden tears to disobey. Now you've been stripped of too much to delay again. Your obedience now is the signature on your scroll. Don't worry about being understood. The instruction wasn't given to the crowd, it was given to you. The vision wasn't shown to everyone, it was placed in your hands. The urgency isn't felt by all, but it's pounding inside your chest. That's not accident. That's heaven's fingerprint. This is what the prophets never told you. Silence doesn't mean absency, it means inspection. God is walking through the garden of your life, calling out to see if you'll answer with obedience instead of excuses. And now the angels are standing by, not to open the door for you, but to witness whether or not you walk through it. There's a sacredness to this moment. You can feel it. It's not hype, it's holiness. Even if your hands are shaking, even if your heart is uncertain, even if your steps are slow, let your next move be obedience. That's all heaven needs. Comment. I will obey. Let this simple act echo in the spirit realm as proof that your heart is aligned with heaven's call. There's a reason your atmosphere has shifted. The peace that once comforted you feels distant. The joy that used to visit easily has been strangely absent. The heavens are not ignoring you, they are inspecting you. You are not waiting on God, God is waiting on you. This is the season where the silence of heaven becomes the loudest form of communication. Not every delay is punishment, not every pause is demonic. Sometimes the quiet is sacred, it is God stepping back to see. If what He whispered was enough, you are being trusted with silence. You've known what to do. That instruction wasn't vague, it wasn't complicated. You received it clearly. And yet the longer you delayed, the heavier your days began to feel. It's not coincidence, that's consequence. Because in the kingdom, delayed obedience is still disobedience. And while grace is still present, the weight of destiny requires movement. You are not in the same spiritual place you were a year ago. The oil on your life demands deeper accountability. The calling on your name demands quicker obedience. There are moments in your journey when your next level isn't accessed by prayer, but by movement. And you are in one of those moments. Now God is still speaking, He just isn't repeating. He's already told you what to do. Now He's watching what you do with it. Not to trap you, not to punish you, but to prove that your yes means more than your emotions, more than your comfort, more than your logic. Because what He's preparing to release through you can be built on hesitation. Your life is a vessel for more than survival. You were never called to just make it. There is fire in your bones that was meant to burn through generational patterns, money clue, and disrupt darkness. But that fire only ignites fully in obedience. This is why it feels heavy, because it is you've asked God to take the pressure off. But what if the pressure is not an attack, but an alert, a divine signal that your moment has come, a holy press to move you out of the familiar into the realm of fulfillment. And fulfillment doesn't wait for your feelings to catch up. It demands your spirit to lead. Your comfort zone will always argue with your calling. And your future will never agree with your excuses right now. The Spirit is watching how you handle instruction without reassurance. If you only obey when you feel goosebumps, you'll miss the greatest shifts of your life, because the most prophetic moves are made when nothing around you looks supernatural. Yet everything inside you says, move. This is where faith is proven, not in miracles, in movement. You've cried out for answers, but answers are on the other side of action. You've asked God to open doors, but the door was always unlocked. You just haven't reached for it yet. You've been saying, God, speak again. And God is saying, child, obey what I've already said. Heaven is consistent. It will not release a new instruction while the last one is still sitting ignored. The angels assigned to your life have not departed, but they are not messengers in this hour. They are witnesses. They are recording not what you feel, but what you do, and what you do now proves what you believe, even when your legs are shaken, even when your voice trembles, even when you're still healing. Obedience is not about readiness, it's about recognition that this is holy ground, that this silence is not punishment, that this pause is not rejection, that this moment is not emptiness, it is evidence that you've been trusted to hear what most cannot, to carry what most won't, to move when most freeze. This is the proving ground of the chosen, not loud, not celebrated, not confirmed by man, but deeply sacred. You're not here by accident. You're here because something sacred in your spirit pulled you to this moment. You didn't just stumble into this message. You were drawn, and deep down you know why the weight you've been carrying, the heaviness pressing on your chest. That's not ordinary, that's spiritual. You've been under divine surveillance, not as a threat, as a vessel, a carrier of something holy, something urgent, something heaven refuses to let you sleep on. The warfare you felt lately isn't random. It's a reaction. Hell has seen what's about to be released through your obedience. It knows the impact your yes will make. That's why the confusion has intensified. Everything that could distract you has come knocking. That's why your mind has been under siege. The battle isn't about your past, it's about your next step. But here's the truth: the enemy doesn't fight what isn't rising, and you are rising, not in the way the world measures it, but in authority, in discernment, in weight. Your yes is unlocking scrolls. Your obedience is awakening angels. Your alignment is disturbing the gates of hell. You've wondered why the resistance is so personal. It's because your calling is so specific. Your anointing is so disruptive. Your light is so dangerous to darkness. God is not calling you to blend in. He is calling you to lead, and not from platforms, but from purity. This is your moment to rise into the calling you've been carrying in silence, to walk boldly into what you've only whispered in prayer. You've been hidden long enough now. Heaven is pulling you forward, not for applause, but for assignment. But even in that, you are not alone. There is a remnant rising, others like you, who've been marked by God, misunderstood by man, and molded by fire. They too are being summoned in this hour. And together you are part of something bigger. And right here through this space, we are building that remnant. This is not just content. This is a movement. And if this word is stirring your spirit, consider being part of building what God is doing. When you like this message, it pushes light into dark spaces. When you share it, it becomes a prophetic seed into someone else's breakthrough. When you subscribe, you stay connected to the frequency of what heaven is releasing, not as a follower, but as a participant. And if you've been led, feel stirred to sow into this message or partner with this movement, do it not out of pressure, but out of obedience. Giving isn't just financial, it's spiritual agreement, a prophetic yes, a declaration that says, I am part of this move, because it's bigger than a video. It's about preparing the way for the chosen to rise. But back to you, chosen one. You've been carrying something heaven refuses to let go dormant. And the reason it won't leave you alone, the reason you can't shake this sense that time is short, is because you're right, time is short. You're not in an ordinary window. This is a prophetic intersection. Heaven is leaning in to see what you will do next. This is not the time to pull back. This is the moment to lean in harder than ever before. Even if you feel empty, even if you feel like you've failed, even if you feel forgotten, you are not disqualified, you are still chosen. The pain you've been through did not disqualify you. It trained you, it shaped you for the fire you're about to carry. And now you must decide, will you stay where it's safe, or will you step into where it's sacred? Heaven isn't looking for hype. It's looking for obedience. Not tomorrow, not when you're stronger, but now with what you have, with the mustard seed of faith you're still holding on to. You've asked for a sign, this is it. You've prayed for confirmation, it just came. You've waited for instruction, you already know it. Now you simply must obey. And as you walk forward, remember this, you're not walking alone. You are part of a hidden army, a prophetic remnant. Our chosen generation, together, we rise together, we walk together, we obey chosen one. What if I told you the 26th of June is not just a date, it's a door. This isn't about numbers on a calendar, it's about a spiritual gate opening in real time. Heaven moves in appointed time, and you are standing in one, you feel it in your spirit. Everything inside you has been tense, alert, restless, and yet somehow more awake than ever. That's because you've entered a prophetic window. And it will not remain open forever. Doors in the natural can be seen, but doors in the spirit must be discerned. And what you're discerning right now is not emotional, it's divine. Something is unlocking, something is shifting, not just around you, but in you. The Holy Spirit is not only speaking, He is positioning, aligning, inspecting. Heaven isn't wondering who is qualified, it's watching who is ready. And you chosen one are being invited to step through a door others won't even recognize exists. Many will live as though the 26th of June is just another day, but not you. You've already felt the press in your soul. You've already noticed the difference in the atmosphere. You've already seen the signs, even if you couldn't explain them, because heaven is whispering, I am opening a door that no man can shut. But that door is only accessible through obedience. You cannot fast your way through it. You cannot worship your way around it. You must walk through it by faith with obedience as your key. This is why the pressure has increased, why your mind has felt pulled, why people around you have started acting strange, why you felt overwhelmed for no clear reason. It's not confusion, it's confirmation. Your spirit is reacting to a spiritual moment that requires movement. This is not about doing more, it's about doing what He said. That one thing, that single act of surrender, that unshakable yes, heaven is not watching to see if you're busy, it's watching to see if you're in position. There's a reason the enemy has tried so hard to distract you, to delay you, to push you into fear or overthinking. It's because he can't close the door. God has opened, but he can distract you from stepping through it. That's why your time has been attacked. That's why your focus has been scattered. Because if the enemy can stop the door from opening, he'll try to make sure you never walk through it. But not this time. This time you will move, you will obey, you will enter in. Because what's waiting on the other side of this door is not just a new season. It's a new level of authority. A deeper revelation awaits you. A mantle. Something you were always meant to carry, but could never access until now. And it's personal. This isn't about a crowd. This isn't about everyone else. This is between you and God. You've cried in secret. You've obeyed when it hurt. You've carried weight no one else could see. And now heaven is honoring that history with a holy invitation. But you must decide. The door does not stay open forever. And when it shuts, what was once grace turns into a missed moment, not because God stopped loving you, but because heaven moves on schedule, not emotion. You must discern the time. The door is open, but only for the obedient. The clock is moving, but only those in alignment can see what time it truly is. You're not behind, but you are on notice. This is your hour. Your instruction isn't random, it's revelatory. It's positioning you to step into places you didn't even pray for, because they were written into your destiny long before you were born. You may feel unqualified, you may still be healing, but heaven didn't choose you based on perfection. It chose you because your heart still says yes, even when it hurts. That's all God needs, not flawless faith, just a yielded heart. You've been asking for change. It's here. You've been asking for breakthrough. It's behind this door. You've been asking for purpose. It's on the other side of obedience. And now you must walk forward. Don't wait until the 26th of June to act. Move now, obey now, shift now. Because by the time that date arrives, heaven will have recorded your response. Let the angels see your readiness. Let the heavens witness your faith. Comment 444 in our social media platforms as a prophetic declaration. I see the door and I will walk through. This number is not superstition. It's symbolic of divine doors, alignment, and spiritual release. Let it be a marker in the realm of the spirit that your heart is ready and your feet will follow. You've been sensing the weight of something invisible, haven't you? Like an atmosphere you can't name, but you can't ignore either. Everything around you feels ordinary, but inside your spirit, it's anything but. That's because what surrounds you right now isn't chaos. It's a test, a divina, examination one. So quiet side that many will miss it, but not you. You are in the middle of an invisible test, and everything matters. The way you respond, the way you wait, the way you worship, even when you don't feel a thing. It all speaks, and heaven is listening not to your volume, but to your consistency, not to your performance, but to your posture. This is not about perfection, it's about positioning. You've asked why things feel stuck, why the answers haven't come, why the open doors seem slow. But what if the question isn't why is it taking so long? What if the real question is, have I passed the test? I didn't know I was taking. Because this isn't punishment, it's preparation. God never promotes those he hasn't proven. And right now you're being proven not in front of people but in front of angels. Not on a stage but in secret. And it's the quiet tests that determine loud futures. The invisible test that birth undeniable authority. You are not being ignored, you are being inspected. This is the type of test that doesn't come with warning signs. It won't be obvious. You won't get an alert, there's no countdown clock. But if your eyes are open, if your spirit is alert, you'll see it for what it is. You'll see that the pressure you're under is part of the grading process. And the Holy Spirit doesn't grade like man does. He's not watching for flawless execution. He's looking for surrendered obedience, for trust, for unshakable yeses. When everything around you says wait, you've been asking for elevation, but heaven never elevates those who haven't first been examined. You're not just in a test, you're in a transformation, because every test from God reshapes the soul. It doesn't just measure your faith, it matures it. It doesn't just weigh your obedience, it deepens it. It takes what was shallow and makes it solid, what was casual and makes it sacred. That's what's happening to you now. You've outgrown where you've been, but you haven't yet stepped into what's next. And that in-between space is where the test takes place. That's the space where God proves whether He can trust you. Not just with promise, but with pressure. Not just with visibility, but with responsibility. And He doesn't test with words, He tests with silence. That's why it's felt quiet. Not because we have been abandoned, because we have been trusted. God only tests those He plans to trust with more. And you, chosen one, are being trusted with something heavy, with legacy, with authority, with oil, with revelation, but only after the test is passed. You're not waiting on something to change. You've been watched to see if you will. You've already been shown what obedience looks like. The instruction has already been whispered. The door has already been opened. Now heaven waits not with impatience, but with purpose. This isn't about a moment of worship. It's about a lifestyle of obedience. Every response you give in this hour is weighty. Every attitude, every private decision, every internal surrender, they all matter, because this test isn't for heaven. It's for you, to show you what's really in you, to bring the hidden things to light, not to shame, but to shape. And what's been rising in you lately, those longings, those ideas, those visions, they are not delusions, they are previews. God doesn't tempt you with dreams. He doesn't intend to fulfill, but He does test to see if you're ready to carry them. This test is not about failure. It's about refinement. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. You've asked for impact, but impact without integrity destroys. And this test is about your integrity in silence, your integrity in solitude, your integrity in obedience. No one else can see, because if you can be trusted in private, you'll carry power in public. This is why it feels intense. This is why the inner war has increased. Because what's being tested is not your behavior, it's your belief, it's your faith. It's your willingness to say, even if I don't understand, I will still obey. That is the gold heaven is searching for. Not performance, not perfection, but gesture. The test will not last forever, but what it produces, well, this moment is short, but the glory it births is eternal. You may not see it now, but you look back and know the test in the quiet was the moment everything changed. Hold your ground, stay in position. The testing is almost over, and the next sound you hear will be the sound of release, chosen one. It's no longer about how much you know. It's about how deeply you obey. There's something God has been watching for, not your eloquence in prayer, not the way you lift your hands during worship, but what you do when no one is looking, when there's no applause, when the pressure is real and the reward is invisible. Those moments are sacred because they reveal who you really are. And heaven is watching not to catch you in weakness, but to confirm your readiness. You've been asking for breakthrough, but God is watching for obedience, not just partial compliance, full surrender. Because breakthrough doesn't begin when your circumstances shift. It begins the moment your will bows. And right now all of heaven is leaning in, watching to see if you do the one thing that's been lingering in your spirit, that instruction that keeps resurfacing no matter how much you try to reason it away. That one step you know you must take, that act of faith, of sacrifice, of trust. The one thing you've been postponing because it costs you something. But chosen one, obedience always costs something. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be holy. You are standing at the edge of something bigger than you can imagine. You can feel it. Your dreams have shifted. Your discernment has deepened. Your heart has grown. Here more watchful, because your spirit knows something sacred is drawing near. But before heaven can release it, your obedience must be complete. God is not holding back because He's angry. He's holding space, waiting for your next move. Because He's not just calling you to receive something, He's calling you to steward it. And what's coming carries too much weight to be placed into careless hands. You were not designed to carry light things. You were built for glory, and glory requires surrender. What you're carrying is heavy, not because it's a burden, but because it's sacred. The reason it feels like so much is because it is so much. The reason the tests have been intense is because the next season will be powerful. The reason you've been stripped is because what you'll carry next must come through clean hands. You can't take shortcuts into what's holy. God isn't just calling you to a new place. He's calling you to a new posture, to live lighter, cleaner, sharper, not out of legalism, but out of loyalty. Loyalty to the assignment. Loyalty to His whisper. Loyalty to what you know deep down is true, even when your feelings scream the opposite. This is what separates the crowd from the chosen, not perfection, but posture, not status, but surrender. You're not being asked to understand everything, you're being asked to trust everything, to trust that what He said still stands, to trust that your steps are still ordered, to trust that even when it looks like nothing is happening, heaven is aligning things. You cannot yet. See, this is the moment where trust matters more than evidence. You've heard His voice in the past. You've seen Him come through, you know His character. So now when it's quiet, trust. What you know, this is the stretch. Few are willing to endure the stretch of obeying with no reward, yet in sight, the discipline of doing what's right, even when no one applauds, the beauty of following the cloud, even when the fire has not yet appeared. Chosen one, you were born for this level of trust. It's not a coincidence you hear. Now that you're hearing this, that your heart has been stirred with urgency, it's because heaven knows you are one act of obedience away from divine acceleration, not the kind that just blesses you, but the kind that changes everything, that opens generational gates, that heals bloodlines, that breaks curses, that rewrites stories. But it begins with one decision to obey. You already know what it is. You don't need more clarity. You don't need another confirmation. God has spoken, heaven has waited. Now it's your move. And make no mistake, heaven will move with you, not before you. That's the divine pattern. When the priests stepped into the Jordan, the waters parted. When Abraham raised the knife, the ram appeared. When the widow poured the oil, the jars overflowed. Movement releases miracles. You will not see the full picture before you act. That's not how the kingdom works. You will not receive comfort first. You will not get a detailed plan, because obedience is not a contract, it's a covenant. And covenant demands trust. This is your moment of covenant alignment, of saying yes, not because it feels good, but because it's right, of moving, not because it makes sense, but because God said so. You're not just stepping into a new chapter, you're stepping into a Dana convergence, where what has been promised begins to manifest, where what has been delayed is suddenly released, where what has been hidden is now revealed. But the gate doesn't swing until your feet step forward, chosen one. This is your holy moment. The instructions you carry are sacred. The oil on your life is rare. The calling is heavy. but it is yours. And now heaven is watching to see what you'll do next, chosen one. The shaking you feel inside isn't fear, it's awakening. What others call restlessness, you've known as preparation. That stirring in your chest, that feeling that something is coming, something must shift, something must change. That's not emotional noise, that's prophetic urgency. It's the Holy Spirit aligning your spirit to the divine rhythm of heaven, because the time has come. And, this is not just about obedience anymore. This is about impact. What you've carried in silence, God is about to use publicly. The long nights you spent praying without words, the moments you've wrestled with God in secret, the burden you couldn't explain to anyone else, all of it is about to become oil. Glory doesn't come without crushing, but the crushing you've endured has made you ready. There's a reason you've been set apart, a reason people misunderstood you, a reason the doors didn't open when you expected it. It's because your assignment is rare, and rare callings require rare conditions. God wasn't punishing you, He was perfecting you. He was building strength into your foundation before giving you the weight of your destiny. But now the time for preparation is shifting into activation. The realm of the Spirit is vibrating with movement. You can feel it in your bones, not case alignment, the click of divine order snapping into place. But here's the truth most don't tell you. Alignment isn't comfortable. It demands shedding what's unnecessary. It calls for radical clarity, and it will cost you what you were never meant to carry into the next season. And so the real battle becomes internal. It's not about whether you've heard from God, you have. It's not about knowing the next step, you already do. The tension now is, will you trust Him enough to act before it feels safe? Because that's the faith He's after. Not faith for things, but faith that moves things. Faith that isn't about shouting in worship, but walking out His word. Faith that looks foolish to those around you, but is magnetic to heaven. The kind of faith that puts Isaac on the altar, that builds an ark in the absence of rain. That surrenders even when there's no guarantee of how it ends. You're being invited into that kind of faith. And if you felt like the attacks have increased, that your emotions have been unruly, that your focus has been scattered, take it as proof you are dangerously close to something the enemy cannot stop. So he's trying to make you forfeit it instead. The enemy can't shut the door God opens, but he will try to make you too tired, too discouraged, too doubtful to walk through it. Don't give him what he can't